our session of Rhapsody of Blood. This is the first of two sessions. Blah, 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 first of two sessions. And I'm super excited to play with everybody else here from the Gauntlet Hangouts. And for more information on the Gauntlet Hangouts, you can check out the links in the description below. And so to start off with Rhapsody of Blood, what makes this system exciting is we're going to start off with the founders of who first fought against the Regent of this dark castle that won't haunt us for generations to come. So let's start with, so just say who you are, your pronouns, and just very briefly about your character, because these are just the founders, so we didn't flesh out too much. So we'll start with Kristen.
Okay, hi, my name's Kristen. I'm he, him. I'm playing Vigi, the mastermind, who is currently standing, hoisting his crossbow, ready to go.
Awesome. Very cool. And I realized I should yeah, it would be cool if I could do a screen share. Let me just quickly set that up. Is that right? Okay. So Kristen is playing our mastermind. Okay, and then next, Charles.
Okay, I'm playing Niall, a young and naive druid, who of the sort of slowly dying out order of the druids, the Celtic druids. That's it.
Cool. Actually,
and I'm Charles, he, him. Sorry.
Awesome. And I realized, Charles, you'd be the perfect person to help us clarify what our setting is for this first intrusion into the castle.
We worked that it's based on the 5th century British Isles, just after the Romans have left. So there's still sort of remnants of the Romans, the ones who didn't leave. And then the sort of locals who were there from before the Romans, and at the same time there's various invaders from the continent, the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes. So it's pretty much a time of chaos where things are falling apart quite quickly.
Right, and so of course it's perfect for this dark castle from another world to intervene and take advantage of this chaos that we humans have brought for ourselves. Okay, and then next let's hear from, I see Will's next down the line.
Hello, I'm Will. My pronouns are he, him. My founder is Conroy, who is a grizzled-looking warrior in his 30s, with a green tabard and rugged traveling gear and a massive claymore slung over his back.
Very cool. And also experiencing...
Yes, I'm sort of following in the spiritual footsteps of Neil, our druid, and my combat prowess is somewhat tempered by the fact that I am sometimes overcome by hallucinations that leave me reeling.
Okay, that's a great place to start. And then, of course, so we're going to go with Bethany.
Hi, I'm Bethany. They, them pronouns. I am playing Auric, the ritualist, who is, I think, a kind of eccentric. I don't think anyone knows much about his background, but he did at some point convince Vigi, the mastermind, to sell out his master. So I think he's kind of ruthless, and he's covered with occult tattoos, and his skill is pyromancy. So
yeah, I love this.
Great guy to have on your side.
I love this team we have set up. Okay, but yeah, so basically, to set the scene, you four have been fighting your way through the castle. It has taken days to get this far. This was not an easy task, for sure. And you were not the only four that came in. You came in with other people, but now you were the only survivors. Everyone else has either fallen to the castle or has been corrupted by the castle. And in particular, this castle that you walked into, it was almost like an alien trying to understand the idea of the Roman Catholic Church, right? So there are these, so everything that you had fought up to this point were just monsters putting on priestly robes, trying to act out what they were seeing in the world. So it was grotesque. It was difficult to get through. But you forced your way through. You have found your way here in the final room with the Regent in front of you. And you've also been trying to, well, I'm not sure if Viji would be looking for his former master, Sigismund. Would he have been trying to, or would he have thought that his master was lost already by this point?
Oh, I think he's, yeah, I don't think that he thinks he's going to be anywhere near here. No.
Right. And so so we haven't heard from our former master, and the Regent in front of you is a very beautiful man. So he has long blonde hair, large blue eyes, but there's something about the way he wears this body. Like, you know that it's not his real body. He's moving a bit too unnaturally. It's too fluid. He's pretending to be human, and it amuses him. And he's wearing these beautiful, this beautiful version of the robes of the Pope. But it's all golden and it's red, and everywhere he walks, there's like a stain of blood left behind. And the throne room is huge, and it's sort of like, once again, it's the castle's idea of what a church is inside here. So there's always something slightly off. So you have the pews, you have the stained glass windows, but when you look closer at the stained glass windows, it's not images of God saving his people. Instead, it's images of the castle destroying what is there of the world, right? And you can see that here there's evidence of the Fae and what's left of the Druid clans having fought to try to push back the Regent, but there's nothing of them left standing here except the remnants of their weapons. You don't know what happened to them. But yeah, so what we're going to do is, as players now, so this is like directly a fight because this Regent is looking at you. His eyes are ready. And you know he's looking for an excuse to destroy you. And behind him, there's this huge chalice-looking thing. Like it's humongous. It's not even made for like one person to drink from properly. And there are these small minions around the chalice murmuring strange things. Our ritualists can sort of make out every other word and understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to sacrifice everyone that's within the town in order to power up this horrible ritual. And so for us to get ready for this fight, you can go to your playbooks and take a look at the confrontation moves. That's on page 16. It's in the middle column. Right. So the way that this works in Rhapsody of Blood, it's super interesting. It's kind of like, it really feels like a Castlevania video game where you have to find these openings. You have to find these ways because you can't just like attack them outright. So usually what you want to do is to create the opening, because you can see that the first move here is called Strike. Let me go ahead and share that screen as well. Yeah, so the first move is Strike when you take advantage of an opening. So the question is, you have to create that opening first. So you can do it through lots of ways. You can line up the shot here, or you can confront, like face them head on in order to like forcibly create that opening. Right, so it's very straightforward. Who do we feel would like move first in this situation, considering everything? Okay, here we go. Our warrior is ready to go. What would you like to do?
I don't know if this is going to be an explicit move when all is said and done, but
Sure.
I'm going to start striding ahead of the group, unsheath my claymore slowly with a certain degree of weariness, and say, and say loud enough for the Regent to hear, "One more foe to slay, and then this land will be free of you." And I'm sort of standing such that if anything comes at the group, they're going to come through me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you do that, he sort of chuckles a little bit, like he's terribly amused, and he says, "Free of me? But it was your people that cried out for me, cried out for control, cried out for freedom from having to decide how to lead their pitiful lives. I am simply here to answer a desire." And so he moves towards you, and as he moves, you sort of realize like the robes are sort of hiding parts of his body, and the way that he moves, it's almost like he's just gliding across the floor, and there's this sound, a choir sound that comes out of nowhere, and as he comes closer, you can sort of feel that choir sound like reverberating through the walls, and it's starting to, you can feel the gravity, the sound of it starting to crush your ears. But what do you do?
Is he coming to me, or is he sort of staying some distance off and letting his presence overwhelm me?
Ooh, it's more, he's very arrogant, so he's moving towards you.
All right. So as he reaches range, I am going to step forward and with a yell just bring my sword down upon him.
Awesome. So that definitely sounds like you're confronting him, or let's see. Yeah, it feels like you're confronting him with that shot. So this is an iron roll, and your iron is currently at 2, right? So roll with a +2.
Well, it's a good thing about that +2. I got a 7.
Okay. There you go. That's good enough. That's more than enough. Okay. So on 7 to 9, you pick one. Which one would you like to pick?
I'm pulling aggro here. I'm trying to present a big enough target that that the people behind me can get into position to do some damage. So the Regent focuses on me.
Awesome. So you are fearsome and commanding, and so you can see his face start to distort in anger, because like as he comes towards you, he tries to yell, and your claymore comes down on him, and the sheer sound of his voice, which is not coming from his mouth, you don't know where it's coming from, stops the claymore, but he has to focus on it. He's holding on to it, and his eyes screw up in anger as he realizes he has to focus all of his attention on you. But there is officially an opening. And just to make it clear, all the time in this game, it's very straightforward. For the most part, unless the Regent is extra powered, which is not the case here, all acolytes and regents always have three aspects that you have to destroy. So you have to find 3 openings each time and destroy it. It's very straightforward. It's a fun part about the game. But he definitely has an opening. What's the opening that you create for everybody else to take advantage of?
So if he's sort of holding the claymore up with force of will, his robes are billowing out in sort of this as from like an invisible wind, and there are points when the robes separate and there's something underneath. There's like his vulnerable, like his flesh underneath, or whatever he has for a body is sometimes visible beneath the robes.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And so when the robes split and people see a closer look, they can see that rather than one body, it's more like it's a whole group of people who have been meshed together. Oh, by the way, I really like body horror, so if anyone wants to stop what I'm saying, let me know at any time. It just comes naturally. Okay, but the bodies are formed together, and they're sort of like they're in supplication, like they're praying towards him. But you can see all of them are like in pain, and their flesh is emaciated, right? So this is the clear opening that, and actually I would say that you recognize your former master. Sigismund is like among them. He's one of the. Are we cool with that? Are we okay with that? Okay, just checking. But this poor dude is part of this. But everybody else has a clear opening. So anyone else, you can go ahead and strike if you want to. Oh, but by the way, before that happens, you take the full harm because you're making sure that you have it. So mark down that you've taken 3 harm for Conroy. If you want, though, you can also mark. Oh no, I'm sorry. Can you mark wounds? I think you can because it's here. So if you want, you can mark. I kind of remember. Let me double check. Yeah, because I'm not sure, because I'm reading my version of the PDF. And I remember it saying that founders can't use the wound mechanic.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so now I'm wondering why it's here in the playbook. But I know there are different versions that she's written. Oof. Yeah, I think just for the sake, is everybody cool if we don't use the wound mechanic for the founders just so that it's quicker to get to? Is everybody okay with that? Like, I don't want to.
I mean, I'd like to take wounds in that it makes my health bar longer.
Sure.
And I just lost most of it.
Sure. Okay, so why don't you mark? So if I'm not mistaken, when you mark wounds, it sort of minuses a bit, right? So if you take, I'm like going to that section. Yeah, but I know that the book is really good. But I know that the PDF I have from the Kickstarter, I know that there's some inconsistencies in the text. Let's see. I'm just moving to that section of wounds. I thought it would be later, because like usually what happens when we play this prologue is that it goes really fast. But
I'll take a minor wound and which I'll change 1 harm into a minor wound, and I will mark corruption.
Ooh, nice. Okay. Very good. So how are you corrupted in the process?
Well, if this is this sort of wave of sound is holding my sword back, and so the whispers and the sounds are making my ears ring, and the visions are starting to sort of come up at the periphery, like the hallucinations that I've seen are coming up at the edges of my vision, but they're dark, they're fatalistic, they are not, they're impure. There are moments of despair and horror that are mixed into what I usually see.
Ooh, okay. Awesome. I love it so much. Okay, so I'm just double checking. Yeah, so for everybody else, you can see the wound track here. Harm moves right next to the confrontation moves. I was hunting through the book and I forgot it's right here. So if you take a minor wound, it's -1 harm. And you choose 1, which is what Will did earlier. If you take a major wound, it's -3 harm, right? So on and so forth. But it says here in the book that you can even, in the playbook, you can take up to, yeah, I think deadly is when, that's about it. Like you've reached the, because you can take deadly, so you're not dead, but you're out for the fight. And then you have to get dragged to safety, basically. Okay, so, but we have an opening. Who would like to go for the opening?
I think that since I saw my mentor, I should probably go next. So I think my character, seeing him, reaches and let's see if this jives, but grabs a candelabra and kind of like reaches under and tries to light the robes on fire from a distance, if he can.
I like it. Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like, do you think you're using stealth and guile or precise insight? Like,
I don't think it would be that stealthy. I think it would be more insight. Even though stealthy is what I'm good at.
Ooh, okay. I appreciate the honesty. So that means that you're going to roll with glass, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that was a 4 that I just 2 and a 1 that I just rolled.
No.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay. So you're bringing the candelabra close, right? And you're trying to burn that section. But as you do that, it's almost as if he overreacts to the fire, like he completely lights up with the fire and he starts screeching and screaming, but then the screaming starts turning into laughter and you realize he was just trying to pretend. He's a horrible person. That he was in pain. And so now you have this, and the fire has become one with him in a way. And his eyes are like these bright, blazing fires, and all the bodies underneath him, the robes just completely burn away, exposing the opening completely. But you can see that all their eyes are full of fire, and they all start that's where you realize the choir music was coming from, and it reaches this like powerful crescendo, and it throws you back. So please take 3 harm as well as you're flung to the other side. You can mark wounds if you want to.
Yeah, I think I'm going to mark a major wound. I think I'm going to break one of my legs when I land.
Ooh, okay, that makes sense. So when you choose to take a major wound, choose one. Do you want to frenzy or do you want to play possum? Because if you frenzy, you get advantage on your next attack, which means you get to roll with 3 dice, pick the 2 higher ones. If you play possum, it makes sure that he won't attack you in the next turn.
I think my character would play possum. I think he's going to try to figure out what his next action is in order to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So when he sees you crumple to the ground, he feels like he's taken care of you, and he starts to focus on the other 2, which brings us to our druid and our ritualist, right? And so as he starts screaming, the body starts to split. There's like this sickening sound. And the horrible thing is, as they split, instead of becoming smaller, it's almost like 2 priests are built, and then whatever was missing starts to grow, right? And so there are 2 fully formed priests splitting up to focus on both the druid and the ritualist. I'd like both of you to dodge to see if you can avoid the incoming danger as you start to see he's pulling out what looks like these scrolls, right? They look like these ancient scrolls, but you can feel he's going to do something terrible with them. So I would like to ask both our ritualist and our saint, which we can rename to druid, that's fine, to roll Mercury, please.
I failed that very hard.
Oh, how hard is hard?
I rolled a 3 and I have 0 Mercury.
Okay, got it. How about our druid? How did we do?
Sorry, I was on mute. 8, and what is that against?
So that is Mercury.
Mercury. So it's a 0, so 8.
8, got it. Okay, so on a hit, pick 1. Which one would you like to pick? So you avoid taking harm, you avoid getting separated, or the foe's heedless pursuit of you creates another opening. So technically, the same opening is created.
Oh, is there already an opening? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
so you don't have to choose that one.
Well, in that case, I'll avoid taking harm.
Yeah. Okay, that's very good. That's a good idea at this point. But it does separate you. In order to avoid. Tell me how you avoid. By the way, like, what are you using in order to avoid our priests, our regent's attacks?
I'm using my staff, my holy staff, which I'm hoping is suitably has enough sort of ritual power from the earth on which this castle stands to that's what I'm banking on. So I'm sort of holding that up to block these attacks, but you could say that they're so strong that they still push me away. Even though they do no damage, they can still push me back from people.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do I pronounce your character's name? Is it Neil or?
I said Neil.
Neil. Okay. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that is
awesome. So
I
as you
typed in Celtic names into Google and that came up.
Awesome. Okay, so as you as you move away, you're using the staff. You can hear the earth itself like speak through the castle. You can sense that the earth has been like twisted in a way to take on this castle form, and that it doesn't want to be in this form. So it starts responding to the magic within you, and the walls start moving back and forth, and you can hear the earth whispering your name over and over again, Nial, Nial. But it separates you from the rest of the group as the walls move up to protect you. But you are completely unharmed. Unfortunately, it's not the same for our ritualist, Auric. So Auric, you have like all those tattoos, right? You were saying.
Yeah.
Yes. So you start to have this horrible feeling. You look down at the tattoos and you feel like they're moving on their own, that they're spelling out different things. And obviously the Regent has gotten into your head somehow. But even though you were smart enough to know what they are doing, it's still impossible to talk yourself out of the painful illusion that they've cast on you. So once again, please take 3 harm, but you can take a wound if you want to avoid getting the full harm. What would you like to do?
I think I will take a wound. Let's see. Okay, so you can. So 5 is the max. All right. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take a minor wound.
Sure.
And yeah, I think that's.
Would you like to mark contamination, or do you want to fall back and recuperate, healing 1 harm?
I think I'm going to mark contamination. I think that some of the movement of these tattoos is real, and I can't tell which is which, but like some of them have like stay in that position and have some sort of contaminating effect.
Yes, absolutely. And then as you are contaminated, and this is true for Conroy also, you can feel that the contamination of the castle is making you stronger in some way. Like it's showing you what power you could have if you only listen to the castle, if you only let the castle give you the power that it wants to give you. And you can tell how these people have been tempted to become slaves to this priest, right? So, but the opening is still there. I want to clearly state. So this would actually be a good time for a ritualist to like go in and get 1 good hit before we go back to Conroy or Niall. So what would you like to do?
Yeah, so like I saw what happened when not Niall, the other when Vijay or was Vijay, I don't know, whoever it was set the robes on fire.
And it was Vijay.
Yeah. And like it didn't do a whole lot of good. And my magic is pretty fire oriented. But there's that group of people chanting in the background, and maybe they're a little less resistant to fire.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you can see that there's a trail somehow, like of tendrils and tendons that lead back to the people.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So go ahead and
try to burn that.
Yeah. So that sounds like a confront move when you confront danger head on. I'm just double checking. Oh no, sorry. You're going for the strike. So do you feel like you're going for physical force, precise insight, sorcery? It feels like sorcery.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So go ahead and roll with your sulfur, please.
Sure. Oh, that's much better.
What did you get?
Okay, so that's 11 plus 13.
Nice. Okay, excellent. So on a hit, you damage one of the foe's qualities. If you destroy the final quality instead, which is not the case yet here. Let's see. But we don't have to pick any of these because you did super well. So tell me how awesome you were. Like, what happens?
I think so. I think that like this connector looked a little like a candle wick to me. And that's, give me the idea of like, I'll just set it on fire. And I think it works like one too. Like I set fire to it, thinking to separate the people doing the ritual from the Regent. And instead, it just follows that line up right to them.
Awesome. Yeah, so it goes straight up to it. And you realize that even though they were feeding off of the fire of the candelabra, it's not the same as the fire that you have control over, because your fire is like an extension of your will, and your tattoos start to burn this like bright red hot as you feel the power coursing through you. And so one of the priests who was like in front of you starts to screech, like tearing away at his skin, trying to get out of it, but before he can, his skin starts to blister over, and there's this strange like something that gets overcooked in a microwave. That's kind of like just this horrible explosion from the inside that happens from your fire. And you can tell he was trying to tell you something, but but the other one is still trying to get to our druid. So what would let's see, what would I'm looking for the name, Conroy, like to do?
Well, if I understand correctly, the regent split into two priests and passed me to go after the other two. So
That's
I
right.
think
But the pod is now blown up completely, so we're down to just one again.
okay. So I think what I'm going to do is sort of shake my head to clear the ringing in it and just spin with my momentum to face the regent and try and hack him in the back to make sure that he doesn't forget about me.
Oh yes, absolutely. Okay, so that definitely sounds like a confront again, right?
Seems legit. I was trying to figure out if aid would make sense, but I feel like I'm separated from people too much to do that.
Yeah. Aid could still work if you want to do stand with me. Is that right?
I think if I were, I'd be happier with that if I were closer to people, but I feel like I'm kind of stuck out there. So
Okay.
I'll roll confront.
Sure. Go ahead.
That is a 9.
Ooh, okay, so pick one.
My options are...
Right, so you roll with the blow, take one less harm, or you are fearsome and commanding, the foe will focus only on you. And finally, your mind is steel, you don't mark contamination.
Oh. I think self-preservation is starting to kick in, so I'm going to take advantage of the fact that he's not focused on me right now to take less harm.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, so which means you'll just take 2 harm instead, and contamination. I realize like it's part of it because these acolytes and regents can be dangerous. So please mark contamination. So the harm that's coming at you as you like attack with the claymore towards the back. The horrible thing is like 2 hands sort of burst out from the back and try to grab the claymore from you. And then as the blood spurts out, it starts to burn through your armor into your skin, because you can tell like now the regent is getting desperate because you have created an opening with this attack, right? Because now they're off balance. Right.
I've stuck him in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So he can no longer move around so quickly, right? Because he's absolutely well, not focused on you, but he's trying to defend himself.
Would it be appropriate to say that I don't have tether on my greatsword, but for flavor, would it be appropriate to say that if he moves, he's dragging me with him?
Oh yeah, let's do that. That'd be super awesome. I like that look. So you're like, that's how the opening is created. It's sort of straining him, and you can see that these hands were created out of desperation to defend himself, but they're also a weak point, right? So would you like to take a wound in this case?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so you're still okay. Okay, got it. All right. And so next, let's see. Who would like to go next? Because our opening is once again they're very clear. Mm-hmm.
I think Neo has been given immense confidence by these voices chanting in his head that the land is on his side.
That is absolutely.
And so, yeah, he's going to call upon the land to throw out this foul abomination from consecrated earth, and just hit. Well, I suppose that's well. I was thinking hit. Just strike the creature with his holy staff.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. So do you
Sure.
feel like you're going in with precise insight, or are you going with physical force? Like, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking more physical force, but I suppose it could be, because that would be better, insight. If there's some sort of benefit from the land and the staff, the connection between the staff and the land.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would even say the staff is like moving, like the staff knows where it wants to hit, right? And your only goal is to like help give it that energy that it needs. But the staff is the one guiding you. Cool. So
Okay.
you can roll with glass then.
$10. Oh no,
Nice.
sorry. 8, 10. No, still 10.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. So tell me how you destroy this weakness.
Well, I don't destroy it at all. It is it is the sacred ground of that this castle has planted itself upon, that takes its revenge upon this cancer that is the castle itself.
Ooh, okay. How do you feel about like from beneath the ground, from under the stone that was forced upon it? You can see like a creature of the fae freeing itself to assist you. Do you think it would be a dryad or something like that, or?
Yeah, something wood based or tree based.
Right. Like it's sort of taken on a barely humanoid form, just so that you can understand it better. But it reaches out through the staff almost. Like you both attack at the same time in this precise way, and then it just rips out these arms. It's normal arms that were like focused on you. The small squiggly arms are still like dragging around, because I kind of like that idea of dragging around this huge like warrior type. But the priest starts screeching, and like you can see that the regent is now desperate, failing about. He gets down onto his knees, or what he sort of has as knees really. And the screaming starts coming out, like it really feels oppressive, pushing down on everybody. You can feel the ringing in your ears, and you can feel the voices trying to tell you to run away, to hurt yourselves, to attack each other. Like he's getting desperate. So I'd like everybody to roll a dodge move to see if you're able to stop yourselves from hurting yourself, hurting each other, or running away. Right. So that is roll with Mercury. And then let me know how everybody does.
I got a 9.
Oh,
Same.
Nice. 9.
12.
5.
Well, technically you were attached to him, so maybe it was like more difficult to avoid the full onslaught. Okay, so we got 1 12, 2 9s, right? So for our 9s, what would you like to choose? So you get to choose one. Either you avoid taking harm, you avoid getting separated, or losing something valuable, or the foe's heedless in pursuit of you creates an opening.
Let me see here. I think the foe is heedless in pursuit of me.
And you create the opening. Perfect, because that's our last one.
Yeah, I mean, I did just like burn up its other half, so
yeah.
a little angry at me.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's coming after you. You can tell it's trying to like build another twin of itself, but it's failing. Like each time it just becomes like this fetus-like object, and it just drops onto the ground and withers away and is eaten up by the castle. And it tries again, and it's just screaming. It's angry at you, but it's completely focused on you, which means you do take harm. But once again, the opening is created in the form of all those fetus little things that anyone can attack now. So So please take 3 harm. You can, of course, mitigate the harm if you would like to take a wound.
I think I'll take a major wound this time.
Okay. Sure.
Don't have a whole lot of harm to spend.
Yeah, absolutely. So that means you don't. It just becomes all the harm just turns into the wound. What does it look like?
Let's see. I think. Does it still have the voices?
Yeah, because voices were telling you to do something. Mhm.
Right. I think I'm trying to trying to set him on fire again, but the voices are so distracting, and so that I end up like I'm trying to burn the voices instead, which are in my head. Like, so I think I like am all of my tattoos are burning with just nowhere to go.
Ooh, I love this. Yeah, awesome. This looks really cool. Yeah, and then so
it's
you
incredibly painful, but
yeah, but it is burning out the voices. So you can frenzy and get fleeting advantage on your next attack, or you can play possum. What do you prefer?
You know what? I see this incredible pain like in my skin that I can't get rid of. That seems like more of a frenzy.
Yeah, let's go for frenzy. Okay. So so you get advantage on the next attack. All right, and then our other 9, right? So VG, is that right? So VG, what do you choose from the dodge? Because we don't need to, we already have an opening, so basically you just have to choose between the first 2. Avoid taking harm or avoid getting separated.
I'm going to avoid losing my my relic, essentially. I'm going to be like kind of ducking down behind a pew holding onto this holy relic.
Ooh, awesome. Okay, so you don't lose it, but it does mean you do take the harm, right? So that's 3 harm. Would you like to, so it's the same thing, it's the voices coming through, the voices telling you to do something. How do you want to take a wound?
I'll take a minor wound.
Mhm.
It'll be just corruption. I think like blood
Makes
will
sense.
start pouring out of my ears from the voices.
Right. And you're so sure when the blood comes out, it gets onto the floor, you feel like the blood is trying to spell out a word to you, right? And it's so you're trying not to look too closely, I assume. Or do you want to see what the words are spelling out? Like it's up to you.
No, I want to see what it is.
Yeah. So as the blood is forming into these words, you can see that it's trying to form all at the same time. It's not even like just one letter at a time. It's like all the words coming together. You could have saved me. Right.
Nice.
And whether that's really you or the guild or him, we'll see what happens. But so you take the minor. So that means you only have to take 2 harm instead.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, and then we had someone who did really well on the dodge. So you can pick 2. Actually, yeah, and you don't need to create an opening. Yeah, so you just do really well with the dodge. Like, tell me what happens. Yeah.
You mean well or quote unquote well? I think you mean.
Well, there was a 12 and a 5, which was
yeah, for the 12, yeah. For Charles's character. I'm saving you for last, Will.
Oh, good.
To avoid taking the damage, the dryad that formed out of my staff takes the blow instead.
Ooh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And is splintered.
Yeah,
and fractured, and is now just in pieces on the floor.
Right. And you can see like when it sacrificed themselves for you, you could see how they didn't even hesitate. They just went straight forward. And right before that moment, before it was splintered and attacked, you could hear it say to you straight into your mind, "You must survive. You must survive. All of us are counting on you. You represent us." Right. And then it sacrifices itself. But you're standing there completely, and you can see the contamination sort of trying to affect the wood, but the power of the staff is keeping that contamination away. So the dryad is not contaminated. And finally, so we're going to see what happens to Conroy, who is like holding on, being dragged around by this thing. Yeah, so actually what happens is the arms get desperate and they start pulling you in towards its body. Like it's trying to sort of like use you as a last resort to feed itself because it's lost so much. So you're not completely swallowed in, like that's not the case, but you know, you're in the middle of it. Like you can feel yourself being drawn in. The priest's flesh is sticking to your armor and is sort of taking on the qualities of your armor. And you can hear this prayer to become one with God, to follow God's law. Like it's not even a real prayer, right? It's just like this made up idea of what a prayer is. It just sounds close to what the Roman Catholic Church prayers are like, which means, ooh, but it is going to give you harm. But you haven't taken a major wound yet, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So would you like to take the major wound now?
If it's gonna be 3 harm, then yes. Well, I think if it's gonna be any amount of harm, then I better cash that in.
Yes.
All right. So sure. Yeah, I'll take a major harm. Major wound. If I received fewer than 3 harm, like if the attack was 2 harm, would I be able to reduce my harm, or would it just blunt the 0? I mean, either way, if I'm not taking more than 3 harm, it doesn't matter. So I'll take a major wound.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, but just to clarify, it's always 3 harm for if it's the Regent for any of their attacks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's supposed to represent how the founders are really out of their element here compared to the later explorers who are more prepared, right, and who have been training for the generations. So the Regent's like really, really badass and really difficult for the poor founders in the prologue. But yeah, so you take the major wound, and which option do you choose? To gain advantage or to play possum?
Oof. Well, given the fact that I'm being sort of pulled into it, since I'm being sort of pulled into the Regent, I'm going to go against my original intent and say that I get advantage, because this sort of fear of being eaten alive by this thing grips me.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you start to see the other people, like when I'm trying to hold back on too much body horror, because like, but like as you're being pulled in, you can see that there are even more people inside who have been swallowed whole. You recognize some of these people from the town nearby, and that's what drives you into this frenzy. Okay, so which is why this is now the perfect time to go into full frenzy mode. I know 2 of you have frenzy, and we have 1 opening. Who would like to take the first attempt to destroy this opening?
Good.
Go for it. I'm going to grab him and hold him still for you.
Nice.
So if there's any way I can provide advantage or aid or what have you, I'm trying to line up. I'm trying to help. Trying to hold him still so that you can get him.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, technically that's a stand with me. Let's see. Yeah, though I feel like this is gonna be like the last hit if it's gonna come through. I'm trying to look at the covenant moves. Help or hinder. Oh, but you. Yeah, technically your covenant would be with our druid instead. Would you like to roll stand with me?
Sure, because the ritualist's taken a lot of harm, so there might be some benefits here.
Exactly. So that's roll with sulfur.
Which will be an 11.
Oh wow.
Nice. Absolutely. Okay, so this is really great. So on an 11, you get 2. So you still pick 1, but your ally still gets advantage. Wow, already on top of the advantage. That's really awesome. I don't know if there's like such a thing as double advantage. Do you roll with 4 dice? I wish that was the case. I know it's not, but that would be kind of awesome.
It would be.
Right. So I assume you want them to heal 2 harm. Is that right? Or do you want
Yeah.
them to heal their lightest
Oh.
wound?
What's your? I mean, you've got. You're at 4 or 5 harm, right?
No, I'm only at 3 harm, but I
You're
have both major and minor wounds.
Oh,
And the
gotcha. Okay,
contamination.
right. I don't know how this makes sense in the fiction, but maybe me holding him in place gives you time to. Either it gives you time to bind your wounds, or maybe holding him in place, like I'm not sure how
What
that
if it
triggers the
interrupts the
healing. But
voices?
yeah, all right, there.
Right. Right.
He's distracted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the minor wound was from the voices. Is that right? Or
Right, yeah, they're like I'm trying to fight the voices, but the voices are in my head.
yeah, absolutely. And so like they're able to break through and distract you. So remove
Yeah.
that wound. And go ahead for so you don't have double advantage. I really want to. That would be so funny, but you still have
Okay,
advantage.
yeah.
So roll with 3 dice.
Okay, cool. And I'm rolling with.
I mean, I assume. Sorry, I didn't want to force it. I assume you're going for strike. Is that right?
I'm going for strike. Yes, with sulfur. And I think what happens is that like as these voices are interrupted, they retreat, and like the fire, it just follows them. Which hopefully will work.
Yahoo!
Okay, let me submit one dice there. Okay, that's a 5, and then reroll the existing ones. Okay, so that's 8 plus sulfur 10.
Ooh, very good. Okay. Yeah, wow, you guys are doing super well. I'm so happy. So that means they do not get to lash out at you in turn, and you completely destroy the quality, which is the last one, right? So tell me how you defeat this horrible regent.
Yeah, the voices are interrupted because like he's focusing on, the guy stabbing him. And the voices almost physically like withdraw back into him and just pull the fire with it, and just like pull the fire right into him and burn him from the inside out.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. Absolutely. So the fire starts to come through, and finally the voices cease. Like one by one, the voices are disrupted and
all screaming as
yeah, absolutely. Except there's also like a song of relief from the ones who were like trapped, right, and forced to serve this terrible regent, like to finally be free of this horrible prison that they were in. And the regent is like clawing, like, so as you burn him away, there's like this strange dimensional portal that opens up behind him, and he tries to flee, but he doesn't make it in time, and he's completely destroyed. But before he turns into ash, he whispers, "But I am just the first to come. This world will be ours." As he like fades away and the dust settles on the ground, and the whole castle starts to shake because the regent has fallen, and the whole castle is about to be pulled into this other dimension where the regent was from. But before that happens, that huge chalice that was behind you, all of those other people, they've run away. They're panicking. The minions, they're no longer a threat. But from deep within the chalice, it was like this dark water. There's something like a woman that rises from the depths, and she has this smaller chalice in her hands, and she steps down from the chalice. Technically, she's naked, but when you look at her, you don't feel like she's naked. She's like an other being, right? She just it's like when you look at a cat and you don't think they're naked, right? So she just comes down towards all of you, and she offers the chalice, and these soft words come through to your head that says, "But there is still power here, and one of you perhaps would like to have it." So, which brings us to the choice that you have to make. The grail has been formed fully, and do any of our founders want to drink from it? Because the chalice will naturally gravitate to who has the most contamination, right? So in this case, I kind of feel like it's, am I right? Is it Conroy who got the most contamination, or?
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Like-
I'm keeping track. Cause like it comes from all those misses actually. Like, but the question is, do you take it, and will other people let him?
Conroy's slow to reach for the Grail. He's actually, I feel like most of the wounds he's been taken have left him sort of dizzy and reeling, and so he doesn't step forward immediately.
Right. And then so just so everybody knows, we're going to the next page. This is page 17. There's a move under generation moves called Gnosis. When the regent is slain, in this case, the founder with the highest blood can choose to inherit the grail. If they do, they increase a bloodline stat by 1, but reduce their pacts with the other bloodlines by 1. They also get 1 wish from the grail. This temptation of power, right? So we know that Conroy is hesitating. Does anyone else want to go for it instead?
Yes.
So yeah, I was going to say Neil would try to stop Conroy getting it. So maybe he's distracted by trying to stop it getting to Conroy. That allows Vigi to move
Go
in
for
there.
it.
If he's
Yeah,
about
I think
to
I
do it.
start to move toward it, but like I'm also slow because I've just had all these voices and fire in my head. So
Yeah? Is everyone cool with Vigi going for it?
As a player, yes.
Right.
However, Conroy is going to,
Yes.
and Conroy is going to shout your name at you and say, we did not put this in the ground for you to take its place. And he takes one shuddering step towards you.
Ooh. Okay.
And Vigi's going to say, correction, you did not stop this monster to take its place, and he's going to let loose with a crossbolt.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, so I feel like we can use the confrontation moves on each other, but would you also just be comfortable with narrating it and saying it just takes you in the shoulder and you get pushed back? Like, how do we feel about this?
I think I take a deadly wound.
Ooh. Okay.
I think the bolt takes me in the gut and I drop to my knees.
Okay, so let's see. Does this mean we trigger the edge of life? Is that right? Oh no, sorry, the last wound. Sorry. I misheard you. The deadly one. Right.
So that heals all my harm, but I am out of this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So does anyone else try to stop VG? Ooh.
No, I think that Neil was too distracted. He already has it by the time.
yeah,
The point's been made.
Okay. So as this happens, like with the crossbow and everything, this strange woman, she just watches impassively, and the hair behind her just moves on its own as if she's underwater, and her eyes are wide and full of stars from the glossy blackness that she came from. And she walks to you with the grail, and you can hear the whispering voices that say, "You are right. This power belongs to you. This power has always belonged to you. This power was made for you." And so you get to choose as you drink from it. So reduce all pacts with the other bloodlines by 1, including the one that you have with the ritualist, right? So it goes down to 1. You can't go down to negative. So it just that just one goes good. Blah, blah, that one just goes down. But you also get 1 wish from the grail. Which wish would you like? So basically, you don't need to take purification because the regent was not able to trigger a blight this time.
I think I'd go for Wealth of Kings.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so as the grail like responds to your desire, right? And you can see clearly in your mind all these beautiful relics that are just waiting for you that the castle has set aside. So you'll be able to tell your people where to get these relics in the future. But then mark that you have 5 relics for your bloodline.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, so are we cool with this like fading? We can go into a montage, like tell me how everyone like escapes the castle in this last moment before time will pass. So we can start with our ritualist. What do you do when you see the castle is like falling apart?
I think this is probably why I don't stop Fiji. Like, I think I have the wherewithal to either drag myself away or try to stop him, and I drag myself away.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then how about our druid? Oh, did we just lose? Okay. We'll just see when he comes back. So, and just when I called him, right? So let's go to. I kind of assume Conrad is like being dragged out by our druid, though. I feel like that kind of makes the most sense.
Makes the most sense, yeah.
Yeah, because poor Conroy is like out cold. So what does VG do?
I don't think VG makes it out alive.
Ooh.
I think that in going to get the treasures, that it collapses around him, and later his group is able to find his body, but he did not make it out alive.
Amazing. Yeah, I really like this. It's very cool. Okay, and so this means that, let me just double check. Yeah, so the ages will turn and it will be decades. Is there anything that we want to establish before we... Oh, here we go. Charles is back. Hi, Charles.
Oh, hi. Sorry, my computer crashed.
Oh, no, it's okay. Yeah, absolutely. So, oh yeah, sorry, I'm just reading the chat about the PvP. Yeah, that's a good question. Because it naturally kind of comes up in this game, but how comfortable are we with PvP?
I'm fine with it, and yeah, it fit that situation very well.
Right. How about Charles?
Fine. Yeah, I thought it was fine. The way it was done, and it goes like that in the future. Of course, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Right. How about Will?
It seems inevitable when it comes to who gets the Grail. I feel like the fiction leads right into it, so I have no problems.
Right. So yeah, I think you all handled it really well, by the way. So as long as we state if we're okay with it as players versus characters, that's totally fine with me. I encourage PvP as long as it's narrative, right? Like as long as it fits the story. It's not really player versus player, it's more character versus character. I'm more comfortable with that. Okay, so awesome. I really liked how this played out. So what I was gonna ask you, Charles, are you okay with your druid dragging away poor Conroy? Is there something that you wanted to do in the castle before it all collapses down, taking VG with it as a ritualist gets away?
No. Just keen to get away from the corruption as quickly as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you take what's left of the dryad with you, or do you leave it there?
That's a good point. I think I would probably take it with me.
Right. So you only need to like take a piece of it. You'll be able, your bloodline will be able to like reconnect with the dryad and help them recover from what happened. Okay. So which means time will pass. So would you like to take a short break now, or would you like to take a short break after we create our next set of explorers before we go into the castle again? So break now or break later is my question.
I mean, I can go a bit longer.
Yeah.
If we break later, there'll be more to mull over.
Yeah, true. Is that okay with you, Bethany?
Yep, that's fine.
Awesome. But yeah, I also want to state that there's an open door policy. If you need to leave at any time, it's totally fine. Your safety comes first, or your your health comes first. So there's no need to feel trapped to this computer. Okay, so the decades pass, right? So time passes. I feel like this is a montage where you can sort of see, like, like in those documentaries where there's like, where they have the sun rising and setting over and over again, and you see the land changing over time. It's been a few decades. It's up to us how many decades is exactly. And we don't have to place the castle here again, because the castle can appear anywhere in the world. It's simply our bloodlines will find our way back to it, right? Because we know that the castle is going to come again. And so this is the cool part, where everybody gets to choose which explorer they want to have fun with to explore the next time that the castle returns. So your choices are, I'm taking a look at what we have here in terms of choices. Sorry, I just have like a lot of tabs up. Okay. So the choices that we have are the bonded. So the bonded is pretty cool in that they have this spirit that's connected to them, that can protect them, that works with them, that makes them stronger. So they have abilities like astral projection, spiritual fusion. It's up to you, like if this spirit like helps you fight, or if it helps you learn more things. And also what's really interesting is you'll see here there's a section, contamination blood, because this is a thing that happens really often in this game, as much as you like. Every playbook has slightly different blood gifts, right? So as they are contaminated by the castle, the gifts that they receive are slightly different per playbook. And so that's the bonded. And then next you have the Slayer. The Slayer is very straightforward. The Slayer is just very good at killing things and keep killing things and to stay up, basically. And then you have the Reckoner. So the Reckoner is interesting in that they sort of like learn what they can from the castle. They've learned how to see through its illusions and so on. They've learned how to reshape the chaos somehow, because as you move through the castle, it's not like a normal one. When you travel the labyrinth, the castle shapes and shifts and forms with the will of the regent, but the Reckoner is good at trying to understand that. And then we have the Mystic, right? So the Mystic is our Arcanist, is like the one who's like closest to magic. But I don't want, like, for example, I don't want you to feel like, oh, because you pick the Ritualist bloodline, you have to pick the Mystic Explorer. That's not the case at all. Like, you can have any mix that you want. It's fun to like see the mix and match. But if you want to go full magic, that's also okay. Great. Whatever is fun. And lastly, we have the Pack Rat. So the Pack Rat is the one who's like completely prepared all the time, who has all the stuff. And so you have stuff like walking armory, lucky cigarette case, and stuff. Oh, hello. This is my partner Matthew. Matthew, say hi.
Hi.
Yeah. So you smell like coffee. Okay. So which one are we interested in? Which playbooks are calling out to us for our explorers? Oh, wait, I'm so sorry. I forgot. We still technically have to finish making our choices for our founders, because this will probably help you inform what explorers you want to pick. So on the second page of your playbooks, so for example, I'm looking at the Paladin right now. Let me just put that up on the screen. So it says here in the next page, you choose what stats you're going to go with. Oh, yeah. So you pick one, either chalices 1, swords 1, coins 1, 0 1s. And there's sort of like a little story behind it. If fate and coincidence keep bringing your bloodline to the castle despite their ignorance of mystical matters. So there are choices to make here for your stats. And after that, you also get to pick traditions. And also, you get to pick 2 bloodline moves. Right. Those are the only choices you have to make. Is it clear? Should I make anything clearer? Are we okay? Okay, just checking. Yeah. So basically, once you make your choice, you can just copy and paste it into the character keeper under the bloodlines tab for the moves that you choose. So I'll give everyone a few minutes, like no rush. I really recommend just going with your instinct, what feels fun, because the game is very flexible. It's really just about what kind of fun you want to have. How's everybody doing? Cool. If I need to explain any of the moves or the rules that affect the moves, just let me know.
I'm on the fence about defeat means friendship, but I don't think
Ooh.
I don't think the fiction quite justifies it, given the vibe we've got.
That's right. Yeah, I think it depends. It could be like after they were like attacked, they could say, we have to make sure maybe it was my fault for not reaching out to VG. I should have been more. He would have listened to me. So it could be that way. Like you make sure that your descendants learn how to do that, or it could be that you learn not to trust everyone completely. So.
Yeah. Conroy definitely feels some degree of failure, personal failure at what happened, and I'm trying to decide whether he decides my usual methods are useless here and switches to something and tries to instill something less martial in his descendants, or if he says must train harder, must not falter.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Yeah, especially because VG died in the process, right? So. Ooh, so I see some people are looking at the context already. So this is super fun. You always get to choose a new context every generation. So this is going to be just for the next one that's coming up. Ooh, I like these choices people are making. Super cool. Ooh. Awesome, awesome. Um, okay, how's everybody? Let's see.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep, good, I think.
Okay, so everyone.
Just working on the context here, but
Yeah. Awesome. So I'm just gonna review everybody else. Let's see. Ooh. Wow, everyone has names already. So good. Usually when I play this game, the names are like, I had one player who had such a hard time with the name. He went through the whole first castle without a name for the bloodline. His names are hard. Okay, very cool. I'm just double checking if we made all the choices. I think we have. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we also have something in the beginning. About the pack stuff. Let me just double check. Yeah, that's right. So under the history section, so for our legendary heroes, under your history, it says, which is I have it highlighted here, the character keeper. One Bloodlines Legends taught you how to be heroes. Set your pack with them to 1. You say what legend you've heard. They say what secret failure the legend left out.
so the narrative is pushing me hard into tripling down on the roots of the consecrated earth, but I'm open to other opportunities of whether whether the Bones of the Young Master or the Circle of the Dark Flame would want to step in on this.
I think it's really interesting, but I don't see a good way that would fit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it probably does have to be the Holy Church. Now, does that mean that they get an additional pact on me, or do I get an additional pact on them?
Let's see. They get an additional pact.
It says set your pact with them to 1.
Oh, that's right.
So I guess it'd be
Does it
Holy
just
Church
reset?
pact.
Let's see.
I mean, if that would reduce the pact that the legendary heroes have on us, then I would pick the or if that would reduce the pact that the Roots of the Consecrators would have on them, then I'll pick somebody else, because that's weird.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they're just trying to encourage you to like have numerous packs. Yeah, because the language is like, and I'm not so sure because like I know that the designer has made some changes. I'm gonna write this down to like double check. That's a good point.
Okay, how does this sound? Kristen, how does this sound? Conroy basically tracked down some of the surviving members of the Bones of the Young Masters and hammered their door in and said, explain why this happened.
Okay.
Like, I hold your organization no rancor, but I need to understand why this happened.
You're going to have to probably give me a couple minutes to think on that, because I'm sure they didn't open the door immediately when you banged on the door either.
Yeah, sure. We can come back to you. Oh, though technically this also like plays into like what legend you've heard. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, so how about we go over to our Druid faction, our Druid church. So your history says you saved another bloodline from falling to darkness. Set your pact to them to 1. They say what dark temptation was twisting them into servants of the castle. You say what you did to redeem them.
Okay, well, to move things across different people, where is... if you see, it'd be good if we could get this to be the Circle of the Dark Flame. And I mean, it's right in the name, isn't it? Circle of the Dark Flame, obviously, and then you can save the Portals of Light.
Yeah, I think
no burning down trees.
I think my bloodline, it tends toward being kind of ruthless and like have kind of scorched earth tactics. Like, I don't care who I kill in the process. This castle's not coming back anytime soon. And
whatever it takes.
one of my moves is like Eldritch Insight. You've learned to turn the castle's burgeoning power toward your own ends, which I could see being a serious problem.
Very cool. Yeah, I like this connection. So they say what dark temptation was twisting them into servants. What was the temptation exactly? Like, what was tempting the bloodline?
I think that ability to use the powers or the castle's power against it.
Right.
Like, that's a really great thing to be able to do, but also you're playing with you're inviting voices into your head.
Yeah, wow, and I really like how it plays to what happened to the founder also. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So
he like taught
balance.
Others how to do it, but like it's a really, you're walking a tightrope there,
Yeah, it's a dangerous craft to master. Yeah, awesome. So and then you will say, let's see, what did you do to redeem them?
I taught the Circle of the Dark Flame how to listen to the voices of the earth as well as the voices of the castle.
Oh, nice.
So now they've got 2 sets of voices in their head. one on each shoulder.
Yeah.
Bloodline tends toward mad geniuses, I think. Like,
yeah,
a little bit eccentric because
awesome. Yeah, and I think we can establish that the castle tries to take advantage of like areas of the earth that are weaker. We could say like the reason this castle took over is because there was so much chaos happening in the British Isles at the time that the earth was weakened because of it. So it's especially important to listen to the voices to know how to make sure you keep that balance. Yeah, very cool, very cool. I like where this is going. Okay, and next let's go to our hidden hand bloodline. So your history is you split the fabulous wealth you found with another bloodline.
Right. So I think what happened is when I had my door banged on, we essentially said that contained within Sigismund's mind was cures for diseases and fixes for problems that would have been lost to the world if we hadn't taken it. And I think that part of this is that to show kind of goodwill towards the Paladins group, I think we funded them after that point, and I think that where my I always say character, my community in this game is more of a like a hidden society of nobles. I think that they were able to almost make at least in some areas the paladins the church militant maybe of their society, or their to brought them up, if that makes sense.
Let's see. Well, having that wealth means that we could certainly gather more in and maintain the bloodline. I actually wanted to go back to my Legends of Heroes. If let's see how this sounds to you. If you were able to demonstrate through writings of previous generations, or stories, oral tradition of previous generations, or arcane diagrams, that the castle showing up was not a one-time event, and that it is going to come back again and again and again, and what is needed is a marathon, not a sprint. That
sounds right. Yeah.
Stopping, it's not enough to just stop the castle once. You need to be prepared to stop it promptly each time.
Absolutely, yeah. That definitely makes sense.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, and then so but going back to our paladin question for history, that means that Kristen gets to say what secret failure the legend left out. So what is the secret failure associated with this castle and this marathon of having to fight against it over and over?
Oh, I think that every single time it's shown up that a person with great ambition has stolen it, or at least that we know of. And that's, I think, why we foster high ambition, ruthlessness, and but we would not ever say that to anybody else. Yeah, and I don't think we have all the information either. I think we might have the information of one before it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will also say that I realized I forgot to make this the point. When we drink from the chalice, what happens is usually that person becomes the next regent, right? The next time that it shows up. But are we comfortable with VG becoming the next regent, or would you rather that? Because I didn't get to tell you in advance before you made that decision.
I am. The only thing that I was thinking is that we have his bones. So
but it could be his flesh. Jamie going into full body horror mode. But yeah, it could just be something that was left behind. I have a feeling like maybe it's a combination of both VG and the former master that are now the regents.
Mm-hmm.
That would be
Or the bones can disappear as well.
Yeah. So just for the meta level of knowledge, if no one drinks from the chalice, what happens is that the castle takes someone else the next time it shows up outside of the group to become the regent that they tempt with power and so on and so forth. Okay, so and let's see. Actually, in all the times I've played this, I've never had a player who drank from the chalice. I'm so happy it happened in this session. I don't know why no one ever did it. If I played, I would totally. Yeah, I tried just at least once. Okay, so I'm just double checking. Did we finish every? Oh no! We have to go to the ritual. This is tradition, right, and history. Yeah. So going to our ritual list, your history is you taught another bloodline how to use the castle's powers safely. Ooh.
Yeah. And okay, so the Holy Church kind of taught them how to use it safely, or like, they they contributed their knowledge, and the combination of the knowledge is what allows them to use it safely. So I think maybe they would have taught this maybe to the legendary heroes.
Ooh.
Because yeah, this is and they would have, let's see, what's the rest of that question?
Oh yeah, this is a good one. They say what the ritual allows them to do. You say what it costs them instead of their souls.
Oh, perfect. Yes.
We ingest hallucinogens, and we get insightful visions about where the castle might show up and what forms it might be taking.
Ooh. Okay, and what do they pay for without having to pay their souls?
I mean, given what I've already said about the circle of the dark flame, I'm inclined to say their minds.
Ooh. Like
Especially plus the hallucinogens. So maybe they
Mm.
they sort of lose their connection to the here and now and gradually just start hallucinating constantly.
Yeah. Like maybe they become like oracles, like, but they have to, they have to like stay in that state. If they do it too often, right? If they do it too much, that could be what happens. Yeah, very cool. I like it. Okay, I'm just double checking. I think that's all the packs done. Am I right?
Just a point of order. Given the history note that where I targeted the hidden hand, and the history note where the hidden hand targeted me, do they have 2 packed on me, or do we have 1 packed on each other?
Ooh, let's double check. Yeah, that's a good question. Let me
because
double
mine
check.
has that weird wording.
Yeah, right. Okay, gain 1 pact on them. Okay, double checking. Gain 1 pact. Da-da-da-da. Right. Yeah, because there are all these little typos all throughout. I think they gained the 1 pact. So they have... But how do you guys feel about it? Yeah, I think they have the 1.
Because
then
my...
then your pact would be 1 with the hidden hand, I think.
Yeah, because if set your pact with them to 1 means that I have 1 pact on the hidden hand, then we each have 1 on each other. But if set your pact with them to 1 means they have 1 pact on me, then they get 2 pact on me. From their effect triggering.
Yeah.
I think 1 on each other is probably the most sensible.
I feel like it. Yeah.
1 makes more sense to me.
Yeah. I think so. I'm really gonna ask. I will tweet and ask later. Yeah, I don't know how we got around that last time. Every time I don't remember. Gosh. And we picked the legendary heroes before. Anyway, yeah. Okay. And I'm just double checking. How do we feel about our moves? Let's see. So I will say sometimes it can be hard to remember what your bloodline moves are because you're so focused on your explorer. So if you want to copy and paste the ones that apply to your explorer as well, later you can do that. So for example, like here under the Blade of the Greenwood, when your explorer finds shelter in the castle, you can like copy and paste that later to make sure you don't lose track of it. Because there's some moves that the explorers can use. Okay. But yeah. All right. So next, are we cool with choosing our explorers next? All right. So we have a pretty good idea of our bloodlines. Once again, it's up to us how many decades exactly have passed. At least a generation worth of decades usually, but it's up to us. And who is confident about their choice of explorer already?
I wouldn't mind taking the Reckoner if everybody is okay with that.
In that case, I could take the bonded.
Ooh. Awesome. Is everybody cool with that? The Reckoner and the Bonded being taken? Okay.
I'll take the Mystic then.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. I like this. Okay, so you just have to so we're going to the character keeper under Explorer. Just type in under the playbook section. Yeah, so we'll follow the same order of the previous colors.
Oh, yeah, the colors. I was taking the same color.
No problem, no problem.
I think of the remaining options, Slayer makes the most sense, so I'll go in and double up on the combat.
Yeah, it also feels like it makes sense narratively for your bloodline so far, because they were like, "Tell us what happened. What is this?"
Oh, I'm so very sorry. I broke the character keeper. I'm trying to fix it.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it. It's no problem. It's okay. Someone else made this, so I don't feel personally attacked. So just to let you know, yeah, we're going to go through our options for the playbooks. Let me see. Yeah, it's very straightforward. Just choosing. Yeah, you already choose the specific array. Yada, yada, yada. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward, but let me know. We'll go into covenants together because it'll be easier to choose covenants once we have a better idea for each other. But you can go ahead and pick moves also if you like. If you need help with the weapon tags, you can go all the way down, and on the last page, there are some suggestions for perks and flaws, but feel free to like make stuff up, right? It's better if you like think of the weapon that you want first and then apply the perk and flaw that makes the most sense. Ooh, I love the astral projection move. I'm always happy to see it in play.
Aw, delightful. Someone's taking a next, you'll say.
Oh, can I see what? Sorry.
I just took it on my character.
Ooh.
I love that move so much.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, I've never had anyone pick that. So I'm super happy.
Do we know kind of what sort of setting the next
Ooh.
this one will be in?
Yeah, good question. Okay, so how are we feeling? Do we want it still within the same region? Do we want to move it somewhere else? Like the castle could show up. I guess the first question is how much time has passed, right? So because it was like the darkest of dark ages, how many decades into the future do we want to go? I'll be honest, my history is like really bad, so I'm open to ideas.
Shall we pick something that's a time of a great deal of chaos? You said that the castle feeds off the chaos.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great
So,
idea.
A point in history where things, or a point in place in history where things are breaking down and chaotic.
Ooh.
There are many to choose from, I think, but I am also not great at history.
Yeah, I feel like my understanding of history is like an anime kind of understanding, like how Japanese people understand history. I feel like I have the same level. But the chaos sounds good. So I mean we can go all the way up to I'm trying to think of specific points. But probably like when a war is happening, to be honest, right? Like that's like we can go all the way to up to World War One if we want to, like that far, or we can. But that's really really far ahead. We can like skip it. We can keep it closer.
Well, if we run it about 500 years, we get into like the Battle of Hastings and stuff like that, where the Normans take over England, and apparently they also took over a chunk of Italy too while they were at it.
Ooh,
It's the
how do we
same
feel about
place,
that?
but
Different set of Normans, yeah.
500 years in the future. I like that.
Yeah, and then that'd be really cool because like people have been preparing, but people are like wondering, is it going to happen? Is the castle still going to come back? Like that could lead to some drama, for sure, because it took so long for the castle to come back.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people have just like left each of the bloodlines. Like, this is the castle hasn't come back. It's been 500 years.
Yeah, it's never gonna come back at this rate. Yeah. Is everyone cool with that? Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'm going to also look up. Ooh, okay, very cool. And so we're gonna set it like there, same area. I'm cool with that. Does that answer your question for context, Bethany, or do we need to go into more context for?
No, I was just thinking of names and weapons. But
yeah, that's important. Absolutely. Good question. Wow, I love these names. King Edward the Confessor. Like, wow. I realize that when we're gonna see VG again, it's been like 500 years. Poor VG.
He's had a lot of time to plot his revenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Delicious. Okay, so I'm double checking. How is everyone? Let's see. I love how straightforward the Slayer moves are, right? Like, okay. So everyone has made their choices, is that right? Oh, weapons. Sorry, no need to rush. Just checking.
Oh, that list of weapon perks.
Okay, how are we doing?
I think I'm done, but I don't know if there's anything else I need to do.
Yeah, what's the motivation? Is that a thing that we decide to?
Right. I feel like it's supposed to be the drive. I'm double checking to make sure, but I feel like it's supposed to be the drive that you picked as a bloodline. I'm actually going to double check really, really quick in the book. Because as far as I know, that's what we did. Right. So it says here, motivation, what pulled you into the life of a castle delver? Use this to add an extra dimension to your bloodline's current drive or give yourself a personal quest. So I'm going to copy and paste that here into the chat. There we go. I don't know how I lived with RPGs before PDF find functions, I'm so spoiled. Yeah, because it could be like your bloodline is driven for a particular thing, and it's up to you if your explorer is aligned with that drive or not. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Or if they're not. Yeah.
Yeah. My bloodline drive seems very individual. Like it would only apply to a specific one.
Yeah.
An opportunity to rectify a mistake made in your apprenticeship, unless there is a tradition of convincing apprentices that they've done something awful and they have to make up for it, which could be
terrible. That's terrible. But yeah, absolutely.
I actually kind of like that now. The last thing the master passes on to the apprentice is, oh, by the way, convince your apprentice.
Like, this is important. This is how the Sith work.
Our most important real ritual is guilt.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. Where are you seeing the drive on the bloodline?
Oh, so drive for the bloodline. You have it picked a saint's relic stolen from a desecrated grave, the Dryad Splinters. Oh, sorry, is that clear? Do you see it? It's in the Bloodlines tab.
Oh, right. Yes, got it.
Yeah,
yes,
no problem.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, because we're moving back and forth between two playbooks. But yeah, so your explorer's motivation can line up to the drive or be a different one. However you feel best suits the story you want to explore. Okay, so I'm just double checking how we are. Yeah, so we just have the motivation. Do you have an idea what the mistake Estrid made during her apprenticeship?
No, I was thinking that it might have something to do with the covenants or entanglements.
Oh yeah, when it comes up. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
We can leave it for whatever comes up. But also we can make it as vague as we want. Like if something comes up in the castle that gives you an opportunity, you can make it more specific later. Like no pressure to like have all of it figured out before we start playing. I'm just like bolding the move names just because like I'm so particular like that. Chandra. Sorry, that was my partner looking for the cat. Exactly when I unmuted. Okay, are we ready to go into entanglements, into the covenants? Okay, sure. Cool. All right, so for this section, let's start in order of the playbooks. So we'll start with our Slayer. And then just introduce your Explorer to the group so that everybody has a clear idea of what kind of covenant they could be having. So what can you tell us about our Slayer? Oh, Will, am I coming through?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was tunnel vision somewhere else.
No problem. Is it cool if we start with you to talk
Sure.
about who your Slayer is? Oh
Okay.
my God, I'm so sorry. The cats are like really crazy today.
All right. So my Slayer is Etane. She is in her early 20s. She has long red hair that she's got braided into tight coils around the back of her neck. She's been scrapping and fighting her whole life. She grew up in this area, wherever it is that the castle is coming up, and so she has blood family here that she's protecting. And she joined the Christianity is getting pretty strong at this point, but she is still sort of holding tight to the druidic practices of that have been passed down from my bloodline and the Holy Church's bloodline. And so she was sort of, her motivation for joining this group, for joining the Blade of the Green Wood, was to protect her family and to protect the area that she grew up in. She's kind of a scrapper when it comes to fighting. So she's armed with a runed short sword that is an heirloom of the Blade of the Green Wood, and a set of throwing knives for fighting at a distance.
Ooh, very cool. I love this so much. Okay, and next let's hear about Mythic.
Okay, since the last castle appeared, the roots of the consecrated earth have been in somewhat retreat as Christianity and I guess the Viking gods have marched across the land. So the order has disguised itself as a group of monks on the borders of Wales, where the whole monastery is actually druids pretending to be monks.
Ooh,
for anyone who comes along.
Yes.
So he's Troston, who's the latest of this order, is disguised as a monk with a tonsure and the standard robe and a rope for a belt. Carries a cat of nine tails, ostentatiously for self-flagellation, but more so to bring pain to the enemies of the roots. He's the order is somewhat going through a crisis of its faith, being that it's been so long since the castle has returned. And while they know that they're onto something because they can work magic, as Troston is a mystic, it's still been a long time, and they need to recover the splinters of the Dryad from the first castle in order to show that their stories that have gone long into the past and are fading away are actually true.
Ooh, so who took the splinters?
They were lost. It's for some a generation ago or a couple of generations ago. They were held and they were called. They put them in their monastery and said they were splinters of the true cross, but really the monks knew that they were actually splinters of the Dryad.
Right.
And they went missing a few generations ago. So the story goes.
Yeah, I really love this idea of the druids pretending to be this church. And so I feel like this really probably happened somewhere, like in some place, for sure. Okay, and then next, let's listen about our reckoner.
Okay. Young Wilhelmina is was essentially like the third child of, say, a noble, but it was hidden, and they said that she died of colic or something. But the entire order has trained, say, a couple probably per generation of people to try to find the castle and infiltrate the castle in order to control it again. And yeah, I mean, her entire life has been focused around getting into the castle, determining the castle, and she's been provided with as much of, I mean, I guess, science of the day as could be provided to her in order for tracking and making her way to the back of the castle, I guess.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. And so, a question for you also, since our regent is going to be this horrible mixture of VG and Sigismund. What did VG want most in life? Like, what did they really want above everything else?
I
the castle could have corrupted.
I think it was riches and power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, so that means like the acolytes that you have attracted to you that you've corrupted were also seeking the same thing.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then let's hear about Estrid, our bonded.
Yeah, so Estrid is Estrid is bonded with a spirit, and I'm kind of thinking the spirit is like another apprentice, and this is the result of that mistake.
Amazing. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I love it.
This is another apprentice who was killed in some horrific magical accident and bonded with the nearest person, which was Estrid. And so she normally, like, sometimes if you look at her, she looks like the other person.
Ooh. And what are the differences in what they look like?
I think who was the other person? Another apprentice.
Are they related in some way? Were they just friends? Were they enemies? Were they rivals?
Lovers.
Ooh, yes. Okay.
Why not? Let's just make this awful in every possible way.
Yes, let's go. Absolutely. Right, so they were lovers. Oh no. Okay. I love it so much.
Yeah, so Estrid is bonded with the ghost of her dead lover. She's also missing fingers. I don't know, probably from a different, a different
accident.
Yeah. I feel like the circle of the dark flame tends to not be reckless or anything, but like their magic is inherently dangerous, and things like this happen, and to them, like, it's bad. It's a thing to be avoided, but it's not that big a thing. Like, it's not that, like, Estrid isn't shunned because of this stuff. Like, it's not, oh, you're cursed, all these awful things keep happening to you. It's not, oh, you're creepy because you have a spirit living, with you. Those are unfortunate but relatively normal things.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's just so she's really been through a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Does this mean that Estrid has 3 voices in her head?
Oh yeah. I forgot about that. Yes, 3 voices.
Amazing. I love this.
Going to go a little or maybe madder than most, earlier than most.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is so good. Do we want this to be the first time it's happened in your bloodline, a bonded, or is this something that happens to every other generation? Because it's been 500 years, right?
I think it has happened before, but I don't think it's a common. I don't think
like, it's not regular. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I love it. Okay, so let's go into Our covenants. So the Slayer picks a covenant you have with the player. It says to your left, to your left at rank 1. So technically, if we're going to go by playbook, that would mean the saint. Am I right? Like, is that like what does left mean? I guess it could be the other side. It could be the ritualist. How do you want to go about
Wraps around.
I think it would wrap to Bethany, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense.
Obviously, this is why I stopped driving. Oh my gosh, I can't like keep track of right and left. But go ahead.
How do you feel about us being monster hunter partners?
That sounds good.
Because maybe things have been getting a little complicated in the run up to the castle showing back up again.
Yeah. Maybe that's why people have stayed with this over 500 years. There have been like signs of it, and monsters have been showing up. So
Yeah.
by slaying monsters.
Yeah. What kind of monsters have we been seeing?
Well, if the probably nothing particularly natural, since we've been playing up sort of the alien, something mimicking nature, but very clearly wrong. Like
like mimicking wolves, mimicking bears. But there's always something off about them, like they have extra appendages, or they're singing, or they're talking, or there's always something unnatural going on. Okay, yeah, I like this. Yeah, and sometimes you don't know if it's just like you get called in, and sometimes it's just like nothing supernatural or abnormal, and other times it's, and we can say like over time there have been more and more of these monsters showing up, like signaling that the castle is coming close. Right. Okay, so you are monster hunting partners, and then so you get to choose which covenant in particular. So once again, that's like at the bottom. It's the last page. So I'm trying to look at because we're supposed to put here. So your longtime monster hunter partners, when one of you saves the other from danger, strengthen the covenant. When one of you embraces the castle's corruption, betray the covenant. Is that cool? Yes. Okay. And it's up to us what that means. Since you can mark corruption pretty easily. Okay. And next, we're going to go with, I'm looking at the wrong tab. Okay. We're going to go with Trostin. Did I pronounce that right?
Yep, sure. Trostin.
Okay. Yeah. So you're going to ask, your covenant question is, like, I'm just looking for it. For our mystic. Yeah, pick a covenant you have with the player to your left again, rank 1. Because you can like add to these points, right? So like we said, every time you strengthen it, you add. Every time you betray the covenant, you remove a point. So here are some examples. You're afflicted with the same curse, you're studying at their dreams, or you follow different faiths.
So I'm doing this with Etain. Is that right?
Yeah.
The Slayer?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. Yes, you're left. Got it. I'm still confused about what left is.
Not aware of any curse. So studying their dreams.
If I'm taking hallucinogens regularly and getting visions from them, maybe you're helping me interpret those.
Yes. Looking for messages from the earth. Perhaps Trostin doesn't quite have as good a link to the earth as his forebears.
Ooh.
Maybe because the druidic connection to the earth is beginning to weaken.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so you can see the covenant section here once again on the last page. One of you has strange dreams, the other studying. Sorry, excuse me. When one of you benefits from an insight gained from the dream, strengthen the covenant. Or when one of you is hurt because they followed the dreams, betray the covenant. I will
Right.
say that it's up to you. You can say at any point, oh, I had a dream about this, and this is the insight, and so I'm going to act on it for this move. You can do that at any point.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. And then next we have our Reckoner. So your covenant question, your example is you're working together to find a lost treasure, you're heavily in debt to them, or you've hunted many monsters together.
I like the first one the best. I don't know how you feel about that, Charles. But we're both looking. I'm assisting in the assisting to try to find the parts of the Dryad, but I assume I might think it's the part of the True Cross.
Ooh, how do you feel about it, Charles?
Yes. So do you know how it was stolen?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think, you know what, maybe it was a member of the Bones of the Young Master that did it, and I have his transcripts, and we're trying to figure out where to find it. Long
Okay,
dead.
so-
We'd never do that today.
Yes.
That was a pre-consideration.
You think it's the True Cross, and I know it's the Dryad. Okay.
Okay, awesome, awesome. I like this so much. Okay, so in the covenant section, when you find a clue to the treasure's location, strengthen the covenant. So we know it's probably somewhere inside the castle. When you lie to or mislead the other, betray the covenant. So we're already on shaky ground because we know that they both think it's two different things. Very cool. I like this a lot. And then we're gonna look at what our bonded has for the covenants. So here are some examples. You grew up together. You were close friends or lovers. Oh, another set of lovers. So, or you have a grudge between you.
Seems like we might have grown up together.
Right, and this is for young Wilhelmina, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool, cool. Are we
Since
cool with
she's
this?
trained from birth for this, and apparently I have trained, maybe not from birth, but I have trained for this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that works. That works.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so for that covenant, when you grew up together, when you take time out to catch up, strengthen the covenant. So this can happen at any rest points.
Okay.
And when you turn your back on the ways of your youth, betray the covenant. So what does that look like? Like because you grew up in the area also? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what would be turning the back on the ways of my youth? Is there anything we both were told to do and actually did religiously that could change? See.
Yeah, I mean, once again, we can just have it come up naturally in the story, so there's no pressure to figure that out now. But if something comes up during the break, that's also fine.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. I'm double checking. Let's see. What else do we? So we have our moves. Are there any other choices? I think. I'm just checking. I think that's all our choices. Am I right? Yeah. Okay. So the playbooks are done. I just want to double check before we go on break, because we're going to start with an idea for. I just want to double check what everyone's breach points are. So these breach points you can use any of them to like enter the castle, and you can use any of them to like leave the castle if you want to take a break. In my experience, most of the time, the explorers like to stay in the castle and rest up and create places to rest. But you can also like leave the castle. Just know that I have here the Regent's clock, which is like here in our roll for your party. So if you like leave the castle or rest, there are certain moves that will like push the clock forward, and it is a six. Blah. It's a six segmented. It has six segments. My gosh, my tongue is like. I just realized what a tongue twister that is. But yeah. Okay, so our breach points for each one. I'm taking a look at the bloodlines. We have a great stained glass window and a hefted brick. Very straightforward. The burial catacombs and a, how do we pronounce this again? Crevasse, right? And a crevasse that's opened them to the world. A grand soiree and a forged invitation, or a garden of perfect geometric statuary and a hole in its iron fence. Which one would we like to start with to get in? Like, I guess basically, do we want to start with the party, or do we want to like throw a brick through the window? What feels
I mean, these characters seem more like the brick through the window type, but that makes a party interesting. So I'm not sure.
Sure. Everyone's cool with the brick through the window.
I'm voting for brick. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
It's very pithy.
Yeah, we'll have a very straightforward, like, direct to the point. And I'm just double checking the refuge, an inn or cafe where your brother plays music, an old grove of trees in a public park, still warded against malign influences, a mansion. Though we don't have, do we have mansions yet at this point? I guess a castle. Right? Does that make sense? Yeah. A castle filled with helpful servants, a caravan on the city's outskirts, selling charms and occult paraphernalia. Oh, I like this. Okay, very cool. Okay, so I think this is enough. We'll go ahead and take a break. This will be our last break. We can go for another 10 minutes because like I'm really just hoping to set this up for this. So then the next session we can go full out against the castle. But so are we cool with a 10-minute break? Or do you want a 5-minute break? Like what do people prefer?
Yeah, this is fine by me.
How about you, Bethany?
Same. If you want 10 minutes to plan, go for it.
Oh no, don't worry. I don't plan.
Oh, okay.
I'm a very intuitive GM, so it's really up to what the players want to do. Yesterday, I tried planning my Star Wars campaign. I didn't use any of it, so I don't know why I bothered. Like I never use anything I plan. That's why I don't do it. But yeah, so how about we take yeah, but I do want you guys to feel out all the moves. So maybe let's just give it a 5-minute break and then we'll come back. Yeah, so it's like 14. Let's just make it 15 past the hour. So it's 15 past the hour. Let's be back at 25 past the hour. Did I do the math right? Anyway, we'll be back at no. Sorry, 5 minutes. I can do this.
20 past the hour.
Okay, 20 past the hour. Yeah. See you guys. Hello, hello. How's everybody?
Good, good.
Cool.
Good.
Good.
Okay, so to set the scene, so this is still like a long time ago, right? Because yeah. So tell me what the I think I want to go around. Each person tells me what it looks like the castle has shown up. Is it close to the town? Is it in the town? Is it atop a high mountain that's nearby? And then we can also describe like one thing that we can all see, either of the castle itself, right? Or an effect that the castle has on the town, right? So any one of those things you can describe. Who wants to go first? If anybody has like an idea, they're excited to explore.
What if it's overlaid with the town but slightly out of phase? So if you take a step and what looks like an alleyway is suddenly a window into a razor sharp room or something like that. Like
Ooh.
it's sort of in the same space as the town, but also not always there.
Yeah. And so does everyone always see it, or just those of you who are part of the bloodlines or certain other people?
More than just the bloodlines, but maybe not everyone in the town. Like people who are sensitive to otherworldly or supernatural effects are picking up on it more.
Awesome. How does everyone feel about that? Cool. I like it. So you can see like flickering moments, like you were saying, the alleyway. And since this is where you grew up, right? And this is like even in your home, there are like aspects you see. Sometimes when you sleep at night, you see someone from the castle walking around your house as if they own it before disappearing again, because it's like going in and out, flickering in and out of phase. Cool. And then let's go round to Bethany. Do you have any ideas about the castle or how it's affecting the town?
So I think even people who aren't sensitive to it or who aren't trained to detect it, just when they kind of stumble across it, weird things happen still. They suddenly remember, it has this sort of corrupting influence, right? So they suddenly like will remember something that they're mad at somebody or were mad at somebody for 10 years ago. Or it sort of brings out all the worst impulses in people who walk across, this space. And then they go pick a fight with somebody or something.
Right. So like it's been increasing the animosity in the town. Families and friends who have been close for a long time, there are rifts growing between them. Right. So this is why your friendship with the members here in the bloodline ladder matters so much more. Right. Awesome. Charles, any ideas about the castle, how it's affecting the town, what it looks like?
As it sort of is sort of intertwined with the town itself, it sort of touches parts of the town and then disappears, but it leaves a little bit behind, and essentially what do they call it? Gargoylism in the facades of the buildings.
Ooh.
So you know how on all Gothic cathedrals and things like that, they'll have little statue creatures or various things carved into the stone of the buildings. Every time a building is touched by the castle, and this sort of stuff is left behind.
Yeah. And then what's worse is that everyone in the town acts like it's always been there. They don't realize that there's been a mistake. Like reality has been rewritten somewhat, and they don't even realize what they've lost, right? So there's this mounting suspicion that all this chaos that's happening is because of the castle trying to infiltrate. I think it also makes sense that it's been 500 years. because members of your bloodline have been trying to keep the chaos at bay all this time. But you can only do so much, right? We're all still human. Okay, and then last but not least, Kristen, what would you like to add about the castle? And
Mine's less physical. Mine's more. I believe that it's been consuming just a colossal amount of food, and what that's caused is that local farmers are essentially selling at higher price all of their food to the castle. So there's the cost of food has gone through the roof. There's local unrest, and there's lots more mouths to feed as merchants move from other areas into the city. So there's just just a constant unrest around it as well that keeps kind of spreading outward as food becomes scarcer. In a radius around it as time goes on.
Right. Yeah, and we'll also say, like, since one of us picked about the party, we can say that the castle has thrown all of these like really lavish parties, luxurious ones that people talk about. But the thing is, anyone who goes to these parties, they don't return to the town. And there are rumors that, oh no, they were just kept on by the castle, but it's all very suspicious. And of course, everyone in your bloodlines, you know better. Like, you're not falling for this. So I'd say, like, it's been a while, like not too long. You've been making preparations to get to the castle because this is going to be it. And the what remains of the legends of what was told of the previous founders, they had barely survived the experience. So you've been training. Do you feel like it's been a few days, a few weeks before you go into the castle? I guess what I'm asking is, how gung-ho are we? Like, how I mean, I know we're brick throwing people, but
Can I say maybe the crowd threw the brick and people stormed in the castle, and then those people didn't come back?
Ooh, how do we feel about that? Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe it just went in with the crowd, but
right. And so, like, you went into, I would even say, like, so the crowd threw the brick. They went to the castle. One of them came out, but it was like a couple of days later, and they died shortly after. But what was very strange is their entire skin had become covered with gold. And every time they tried to speak, jewels would just come from their mouths and cut their tongue, and they couldn't speak of what happened inside the castle, and they died soon after. Is that cool with everybody? Yeah.
I think somewhere around that time, we probably started saying to each other, "Okay, this is serious now. Where we have to be the next wave. We can't let civilians do this again."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we can. So the preparations are made before you go into the castle. I want to say you do have access to a few moves that you might want to do before you go in, but if you feel like, if it makes sense to your character. So one of them is resist doom. When you work a grand ritual, spend 1 to 3 relics. So you can do any of these things beforehand. You can also ask for reinforcements. Those 2 moves make the most sense, but anything that you feel your bloodline would be doing.
I'd like to use reinforcements to try to find out information on any acolytes within the area.
Sure. Okay. So that would be a plus coin. So when your bloodline members search for rumors or resources in the mortal world, roll plus coins. So and for your bloodline, your coin is at 1. So go ahead and roll.
I just did, the dice just switched sides, so that would be an 8.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, it's so weird when that happens. So on an 8, so 7 to 9, choose 1. Which one would you like? Like, all of these are juicy bits, so.
Sorry, just give me a second as I look through it. I'm on the.
Yeah.
I just got messed up here.
No problem. No problem.
I want to know what the Regent plans next.
Ooh. Okay. Actually, I feel like you'd be the best person to tell me, considering that they were your character. So the clock hasn't been filled in yet, but you do know that something will be triggered on the second clock. So that's like a few hours from now. Like, because the way that it works is like time is kind of iffy here, but on the second segment, what do you think they're planning now that they have been corrupted to want power and riches above all else?
This might be a little weird. Everybody. What if that person that left covered in gold? It's actually a contagious disease, and if the acolyte's not stopped, well, it'll become a contagious disease if the acolyte is not stopped.
Yeah, I love this. That's not weird. That's absolutely amazing. Like, it's really good, right? It's this horrible disease that can spread. Like, it's sort of like a Midas touch kind of situation, right? So I like that a lot. So I would also say that you have this clear image. I'd even say our Slayer, who's been having dreams, has also seen flashes of it, right? That particular acolyte that's in. Mm-hmm.
I actually have a thing that allows me to get an additional benefit from that as well. So
Okay.
I'd like to know about the first acolyte.
Yeah, about the one who's connected to this.
Yeah.
So this first acolyte, you know that they used to be, they used to help. Like, I'm trying to think about the political situation. Like, is there a mayor? Is that how it works in this town? Right.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a mayor. So the mayor's daughter was the one who handled things. The mayor was the face of things, who would seem to make the decisions, who would show up at the events, but it was really the daughter who was running everything, who was handling all the details. And she was corrupted by the castle. She was convinced by the castle that she could help her father, that she could help the town, make sure the war doesn't come here. And so she was the one who was drawn into the castle to become the first acolyte. And the first thing she did, you can tell that she's like creating this ritual to make sure that everyone is coded, and the people who've been coming in, she's been testing on them. She's been like experimenting on them to see if the magic will hold. She's convinced that if she can create armor of steel and coin and finery, that people will be protected. She has obviously lost her gourd at this point, right? So I will say that, any of these acolytes, don't feel like you have to keep killing them. Like you can like that's why there's a move that allows you to not do that. Like, you could try to turn her away from the corruption if you want to. But yeah. All right. So and let's give her a name. I should like. I'm just looking up like a fantasy name generator, just to like real names. Wait, sorry, 1 second. Oh, my partner has offered a name. So her name is Elena Garland. Wow, I should just make my partner my name generator. That was a good one. Okay, so that's her name. She's actually fairly young. She's only like about 17 years old. And she's been helping out her father since she was young. Okay, good question. Does anyone else want to do a move before we jump in?
It's not a good idea, but I'm gonna go.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go carousing in the tavern where my brother sings, and I'm going to chat up my brother and ask if he's heard anything in the last few days about rumors that have come back from the strange things going around and those strange parties that people are having, and just sort of put out some feelers and find out if anybody's got some juicy rumors. So
Ooh.
I'll roll reinforcements at -1.
Yes, awesome. But I love this idea. Let's go for it.
6.
Oh, okay. So I'll say on a 6. Let's see. I'll give you a choice. You can still choose one, but there'll be a price to pay for the information. Or yeah, or we'll say that something interrupted your brother before he could tell you.
Let's say maybe there was like I got involved in a tavern brawl. Like nothing of import happened, and maybe I was about to hear something juicy, and then there was a tavern brawl.
Yeah,
And all this temper's running wild, so nobody was in a mood to share information. Maybe in a mood to swing fists.
Yeah, like your brother was about to tell you something, and then someone walked in, this person you knew since your childhood, and they were like, "You 5 years ago," like this really small slight, right? And they just start like screaming at your brother, and then just like going in and breaking his instrument, right? So
yeah, I broke that guy's nose.
Yeah. So things did not. And then when you tried to talk to your brother about it later, he was just like slumped over. He's not that great in a fight. He's a lover, not a fighter, after all. So you weren't able to get, but you suspected that he knew something, right? But you weren't able to get the information before you go into the castle. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And then, does anyone else want to do something? Or do we jump into the castle? Because there's no wrong or right, really.
Jump in.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's jump in. So we have the brick that was like thrown a few days ago. So you make your way. This place in particular was an alleyway that Will mentioned. So the alleyway feels tight. It's been raining for a while, for a few days, ever since that person came through. You notice that in this area, when the rain hits where the castle is supposed to be, the rain shifts for a moment, and it turns into this sort of strange color of blood gold that runs rivulets down into the gutters. And in this area, you can hear the party, the numerous parties that are coming from the castle, but you're breaching a particular area that's not too close to the parties. And the glass window itself, before it was shattered, you realize that it depicted it sort of depicts this like ritual sacrifice that's happening. But there's someone who's holding a dagger over, you don't know what it is because that's a part that got shattered. Like they're holding a dagger over something, and it looks like there are tombstones on the lower half of the glass stained image. And you make your way through. So what we're going to do as you enter, usually we want to travel the labyrinth to see how we're able to get through to the castle, what awaits you in this castle, because the castle, like as you step in, it's like reacting to you. You can feel it like shrinking, taking stock of you, studying you, and things start to move when you step through. You can see the doors shift, slide down the hall. You can see the glass sort of like shrink behind you. So who feels brave enough to travel the labyrinth first?
I can do that.
Yeah. Oh, can you tell me some more about your lover? So do you have a name for them?
Yeah, hold on. I just ran a random name generator and it popped something up.
Nice.
Nessa.
Oh, I like it. Okay. Does Nessa, what pronouns does Nessa use?
Actually, let me look and see what. Oh, I don't know. I don't remember which I hit. So let's say that sounds like she, her.
Sure. Okay. So in fact, you hear Nessa, because I feel like Nessa was the one who took a lot of risks. That's how this happened.
Yeah.
So Nessa's the one who's like goading you on. Come on, you can do it. I'll help you out. It's like we can get there first. Like they're a little competitive.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so when you travel the labyrinth, roll with plus blood. Just note that if you choose, you may mark contamination to roll with advantage.
And
just so that it's clear, you just need to mark 3 blood to get to the first level. You can see, I just want to make it clear, you can see it in your playbooks, that there are, you can mark it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. When you hit blood 5, that's when the castle claims your character. So you have like a lot of room for corruption. It's a while before the castle gets you fully. So it's this balance, right, of how much power you want to gain from the castle without the castle taking you. It's very cool. But yeah, you don't have to mark the contamination now. I'm just putting it there.
Okay, I was actually a little confused. I was like, I thought it was always that you always had a maximum of 3.
Oh yeah, it's just per level. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll mark a corruption then.
Sure, let's do it. Okay.
Roll with advantage. Cool. And I'm glad I did because that's a 10.
Nice. Wonderful. Okay. So on a 10 for my gosh, where am I looking? I'm losing track. Okay, yeah, that's right. Going to the moves below. For traveling the labyrinth at a 10, which is great. So on a hit, hold 1. I'm going to briefly explain this, right, about the hold in a bit. Hold 1 and describe your insight into the ward's purpose or layout. And on a 10 plus, the area you arrive in contains something valuable or useful. So you avoided going into a dangerous area. So what insight do you have into the castle?
So when people disappear from the party, where they go?
Ooh, okay. So yeah, so we can say that you go into this particular ward, and feel free to like interrupt me at any point because it's always like up to the player like what the ward looks like. But what I'm feeling is, what I'm seeing is that where they're taken to is the strange place. It's like heavily perfumed. There are steaming baths everywhere. There are veils of different colors. It feels like nothing like you've ever experienced or seen in this small town. And it's like this sort of paradise where people are naked, but there's nothing sexual or sensual going on. They're just like free to be themselves. But you do notice, so this is where you walk into the ward. I'm imagining like everyone decked out, ready for battle, and you walk into this like like there's this beautiful fountain, and there are birds, and there's like flora and fauna here somehow in the castle. But you notice that every once in a while, someone will stand up and raise a hand as if to volunteer themselves, and they go towards the back, where the foliage is denser. And there's someone there who is wearing what looks like to be like medical clothing, like the clothing of a medic, someone who like heals and assists. And then they slowly, it looks like they're trying to open them up and place something or take something out of their bodies, but no one is like reacting like it's painful. Like they're not properly feeling it. And instead of bleeding blood, they're bleeding gold. Are we okay with this? This is fine? Okay, just checking. Yeah, so that's what insight you have, is that the people who are corrupted by the castle are happy to be corrupted. Like they've learned their lesson from the last Regent when people were like, oh, we should have them enjoy themselves while they're enslaved to us. That's what the castle has learned since the last time. But you also get to say that there's something valuable here or useful. I would say that you come across 4 relics. Right. So these relics in particular, they look like things that have been taken out of people. So like you have a heart that was turned into gold. You have a skull that was turned into obsidian. And there are all these ritualistic carvings on all of them. And they're just like, they're all around in the garden. But everyone's happy you're there. Happy to see you. Like, asking if you want to join the party. No judgment. You have too many clothes on. Yeah, exactly. You have too many clothes on. It's too hot. Okay, so what do you do?
Are you asking me or everyone?
Oh, yeah, for you, Bethany. Like,
what do I do?
Because you know that the relics are there. You've seen them. I guess the question really is, do you take one of the relics? Do you take all of the relics? Like, because there are 4. I will say that your note says, let's take all of them. We're the ones who found it.
I mean, that makes sense. And I can hand them to others later. It's I'm just carrying them for everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely. Is everyone okay with that? Just checking. Okay. So mark that you have 4 new relics. And I will say that if you want to drink deep, because this is you can look closer into one of the relics, you can do that. You can find out what magic they're doing here. But anyone can do this. It doesn't have to just be you. But yeah. That move in particular is down below. It's still under exploration.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Draw an item. Sulfur. Learn. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm gonna try that. That seems like a useful thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So roll plus.
Yeah, this is a very safe place because you rolled high. So in fact, I would say
it's a good time to do that.
Other people can do it too if they want to.
Okay. So plus sulfur. What is my plus sulfur? I know I switched. Oh, it's still 1. Okay, so 10.
Oh, nice. Okay, so on a 10, let's see. You still mark contamination.
Okay.
Because like you're drinking in deep. I really like how in this book every time it says mark contamination or castle, it's like in red, just to really like put that point across. It's very cool. So, and learn a spell. So the spell that you learn is the spell of forgetting, right? So you realize that everyone here, the reason why they're so happy is because they've forgotten what's waiting them outside, right? The castle has learned that people are happiest if they don't remember all these inconvenient bonds that they have to the outside world. So you can use this particular spell at any point to make someone or something forget.
Cool.
Yeah, let me just look up I should give you, I'm trying to find the spell section here. Yeah, but it's very flexible, which I like. Okay, I think I'll give you the details in a bit. I'm just looking for but you can use it at any point, basically. Later, it's going to be connected to. Yeah, you can say when you use the spell at any time. I don't even think it's connected to a move. You can just say that you use it.
Okay.
I have to double check though. But yeah. Okay, what does everybody else want to do? You can see people are gathering around you. They're trying to ease you out of your clothing. They're stroking your hair. They're not violent or anything, right? They're not pushy.
Someone offers me a goblet full of some kind of drink, and I sniff it warily and then sort of casually pour it aside into the plants. Pretend that I'm drinking it and casually pour it aside into the plants. And it smells like ripe apricots, and then there's something medicinal underneath that smell.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you can tell that they're trying to get you to relax, like by any means possible, of course. And I will say that it's been, you do see that that the guy who like accused your brother is like here, right? They're just sort of like lounging around. You know that you broke their nose. You know that they were worse for wear, and it should have taken them a while to heal, but they're fully healed, enjoying the party, enjoying the after party. But yeah. Does anyone else want to do anything before we push on?
I did the same thing. I think my character is just going to be marking the area with chalk and trying to use her implements in order to determine where the next step to get further into the labyrinth is going to be. So I think like people are trying to talk to her and she's just kind of like nicely pushing them out of the way, but not like, just not engaging really.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like I sort of imagine like this party's happening around you and you're just like super focused on making sure you have all the calculations just right. But yeah, how about our mystic? What are they up to?
Troston was going to be doing something similar, perhaps trying to keep the people away by looking suitably monkish and disdainful of their of their nakedness. Maybe take out his cat of nine tails, maybe some flagellation if necessary.
Right, so like they're little
of himself, because to avoid temptation of himself.
There you go.
But as part of trying to see if there's something here or a way in deeper into this into this castle.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to quickly go back to our travel the labyrinth move, so you can see that you guys have hold 1. So just so you have hold 1. You can see the lower part. When you leave the area, spend 1 hold to retreat to a safe camp, 2 to find an exit to another ward, and 3 to find an acolyte's sanctuary. So 1 person rolls each time you navigate, and the group's hold for multiple rolls is pulled together. So the idea is like as you explore, it gets easier and easier to make sense. So right now you just have the 1. So usually what we'll do is like roll travel the labyrinth again to get to the next section, and save up the hold however you like to use it. Does that make sense?
So that means I roll for travel the labyrinth, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So we have just enough time for like 1 more travel the labyrinth roll, and then we'll end it here tonight.
I have no blood.
Yeah. Well, you can mark contamination if you want to.
6.
Okay.
I'd better mark contamination, I think, then. Otherwise.
Right. So that you want to get advantage, so you can get another die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that. That's totally fine.
Another one down. Hopefully that works. I'm not sure how this. Is it going to appear somewhere? Oh, a 2. So actually made absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Okay. All right. So what happens is as you try to navigate, so you're making your calculations, you're so sure that it's supposed to go through this way, when all of a sudden the people behind you start to make these weird muted panicked sounds, and when you turn around they all start to slowly melt as if they're ice on a hot day, and they start dripping rivulets of gold, and you start to see these people like starting to lose their form, and they're all screaming silently, like their mouths are open and there's no sound that's coming out, and they start to wrap themselves around you and pull you down into this pool of gold, and you're halfway there, and that's where we're going to like end the session today. So we'll see what happens. Are we cool with that? Is that okay?
That's fine.
Cliffhanger.
Okay. Yeah, but we'll be back tomorrow. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to end the broadcast, and then we'll do a very quick round of feedback, though I do have to leave it exactly on the hour. But yeah, so I'll end the broadcast. So thank you to everybody who is watching. Thank you so much. We'll be back for the next session soon. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and end the broadcast.